Hey there, it's Chris Miko here, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my research project, and it has to do with video games and spatial intelligence. So, for the last 3 years, I've been involved in a research study at Montana State University where we're creating games in Minecraft um, that in hopes of developing games that will help develop spatial intelligence, and our big focus has been on spatial intelligence in females because the spatial intelligence out of all the cognitive skills is the lowest amongst our population, and it is the one with the largest gender gap. And it is a key cognitive skill for careers such as STEM careers such as engineering and things like that. And so it is. The research has shown that with the right video games, spatial intelligence can be bolstered and augmented by video game practice. So in this research project, we'll take a look at the overview of what is spatial intelligence, look at the problem statement and questions, the participation, who will participate in the study, as well as the design of the study, and finally the implications of the study. Why is it that we're doing this? So, visual spatial intelligence is basically the cognitive skill that enables you to see things in your mind's eye, and it can go as far as being able to rotate those objects or things in your brain, in your visual mind's eye, be able to disassemble it, reassemble it, do those types of things. In addition, it has to do with spatial awareness, meaning how good are you at navigating? How are you at reading maps and translating that to the real world and knowing your place in space, as well as then being able to like fit things into a particular space. So the game Tetris comes to mind for most people when we talk about spatial intelligence. One of the examples I always give is that most families, when you go on a road trip in a car, there's one parent that tends to pack all of the bags into the trunk of the car so that they fit really nicely. Whichever parent that is that tends to do that, that's probably because they have the better spatial intelligence. Now, overall, men tend to have a stronger spatial intelligence from the get-go than women, by a lot. And so that's why the study focuses on developing spatial intelligence for women. So our problem: video games and education. There's lots of possibilities for video games in education, and so that goes back to looking at ways to use video games to develop skills such as cognitive skills and spatial intelligence. And from that, the research has shown that 3D action games are the most effective at developing a person's spatial intelligence. The problem is that most women don't play a lot of 3D action games. In fact, it's first-person shooters that are the best at developing spatial intelligence, because your life in the game depends on you being able to navigate through that environment, pay attention to your surroundings, know where to go, how to get things, how to do things, how to protect yourself, and changes to the environment. Girls historically don't play first-person shooters. So there's our problem. What kind of game is going to deliver the same kind of 3D environment and action and intensity of a first-person shooter that's going to appeal to females? And how can we design games that appeal to females that have those elements in it? And that brings us to our research questions. So what 3D fast-paced video games appeal to females most? And how can video games be designed to appeal to females more? So participation, the goal is to get this down to the elementary, middle school levels. The research at Montana State University has mostly focused on middle school age kids, because that seems to be that very important age that if students get into something, then they could end up sticking with it for the rest of their life. If they're not into something, then chances are they're not really going to come back around to it. And the earlier we get those girls into video games, or people in general into video games that will develop spatial intelligence, the more that time they will have to develop that spatial intelligence, which could make things easier for them as they go through schooling to do engineering projects and things like that. So middle school age females will participate in the study, and then the design will utilize a within subject design structure among 200 middle aged females. Each participant will spend 3 sessions of 20 minutes each playing 3 different styles of video games. And those games will all be 3D action games. Groups of 40 students will be tested at a time. And to control for differences, participants will all play on the same type of dice in the same room at the same time. Even though each group of 40 will be tested on different days, the day of the week and the time each group is tested will be consistent for each group. And the order of the games will be changed to account for potential fatigue the final 20-minute session. At the end of that, then girls will be given a survey to determine which games they liked the most. So why do we do this? As I mentioned before, spatial intelligence has the largest gender gap of any of the cognitive skills, and it is probably the most important cognitive skill for careers such as engineering and other STEM careers. So in order to give females a pathway to develop those cognitive skills that they're going to need if they're interested in engineering, or just to get them interested in engineering to begin with and those types of STEM careers, that's why we need to get them early and develop these spatial intelligence skills in order to give them opportunities that make it easier for them to enter these types of careers. And that's pretty much it. Brings us to the end of the presentation. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Take care.